All right, go ahead and roll for perception.
I got a 13.
Hey, that's pretty good. With that, you can tell there's some fantasy situations going on. You hear some adult language, and with that, you can tell this podcast probably isn't for kids. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dungeoncast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Will.
This is the podcast where we talk about everything Dungeons & Dragons, from excellent entertainers to errant empires. And today, we're talking about devils.
Prepare yourselves.
I cast Fireball. The Dungeoncast.
All right, Brian. Talking about devils.
We are talking about devils.
The
ghost from the movie Ghost.
The ghost from movie Ghost. Oh, yeah. Let's do a little retcon. So, in the episode where we talked about demons, I very confidently and idiotically called them Demurs.
Demurs.
Yeah, Demurs. Yeah, they're actually called Lemurs.
Lemurs.
With an L, not a D. I'm sorry, folks. There's a lot of stuff to remember. It was one lousy letter. I'm sorry.
I don't know better.
Yeah, Brian's innocent. I was feeding him false information. And actually,
I ate that shit up.
Fun fact about Lemurs is the original concept is that the Lemurs were in Roman mythology the spirits of the underworld, which were particularly wrought with like hate and corruption and whatnot.
Okay.
Which is very fitting because they're very much like that in D&D land. But let's actually talk about devils. Okay, so devils are
do like
fiends.
me D&D land. Sorry.
Yeah, D&D world. Devils are fiends, which so are demons, but they're much different. But they're also very similar. They're like two sides to the same coin in a way.
Yeah, because they're both mean as hell.
Yeah, they are definitely both mean as hell, and they're both very, very evil. And they have a lot of similarities in like their looks and whatnot. And
but their agendas are different, right?
Their agendas are very different.
Okay.
I'm gonna drink some of this water.
Drink some of that water, and we'll start talking about. Well, I don't really have anything to talk about yet.
Yeah, so demons are chaotic evil.
Okay.
And devils are lawful evil. And okay, so demons are chaotic evil so much so that they're like literally chaotic evil incarnate. And like the chaotic evil of the abyss kind of birthed them. And whatnot.
It's like the concept of chaos.
Yeah. Devils aren't quite like that on the other end. Like they are very lawful evil, but like there's more than a few origin stories for like where devils came about in this universe. The main one is that they were an answer to demons because the gods of law and good that were busy fighting the demons as they were being born realized there was no end in sight. And like they wanted to move on to create like the world and other things. Like they wanted to bring order to the universe, but they couldn't because they were so busy fighting demons. So what they did was they created the subset of beings, of angels, if you will, that were literally created to fight demons.
Okay.
And there's this whole origin story of Asmodeus when it comes to like the transformation of these lawful angelic beings into like what devils are now, which we're not going to get into really right now because that'll be for the Asmodeus episode.
Right on.
But that being said, they're not like demons when it comes. It's not like devils are like lawful evil beings, or they're not like lawful evil come to life. But they are incredibly lawful evil, and we'll talk about that. So devils are these infernal creatures of tyranny, and they adhere to a strict hierarchy, so much so that obedience and ambition are simultaneously like baked into the blood of these creatures.
Okay.
They are driven to be obedient to those above them in the hierarchy, even if they fucking hate it. And almost all the time they do.
Right.
It's very rare that a devil likes to take orders, but they are driven to do so.
Yeah, they just do. It's set up in like this. That's the system we have going on.
Yes.
Okay.
But they are also constantly striving for promotion, and they constantly crave power, respect, obedience of others.
So in that way, they're similar to demons, where they're like looking to level up, basically, become the next tier.
Demons aren't actively trying to level up.
Oh, they just do?
They just do.
Okay.
No, it's definitely an agenda when it comes to devils. They lust for these things so much. It's almost like a sweet ambrosia to them. Like they're addicted to it.
Right on.
So much like the way demons kind of had like a type 0 through 7, devils have a similar hierarchy of types, except for it's a lot broader. It's like types 1 to 13 or something like that.
Oh, it's just more. Okay, I see.
Yeah. So when it comes to devils, devils come from a realm called the Nine Hells because it is a realm subsistent of 9 layers, if you will. And this I've seen kind of portrayed different ways. I think the most common way is like a planetoid.
Okay.
With as you go deeper into it, like there's a new level.
Yeah.
And each level is ruled by an archdevil, which is on the same level of playing field as like a demon lord, maybe a little bit stronger. That's kind of like the name of the game when it comes to devils and demons. Is devils are slightly stronger and way more organized, but demons are way more numerous. So like it keeps the playing field.
I see.
Even.
Okay, so this is a lot more like Dante's Inferno, like the 9 rings of hell.
That's exactly what almost all this is based on.
So like each ring will have its own like theme going on. Each layer.
Each layer has its own like a theme, if you will, or like a terrain. Like
There's one where if you are a thief or a bandit, you get like basically put into the desert, and there's a bunch of snakes, and if you get bit by a snake, you turn into a snake, and you gotta bite other bandits.
It's not quite like that for the most part.
That's one of the rings.
Mortals.
Dante's Inferno. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, it's not quite like that. It's more like the top layer is like this red sky wasteland, black wasteland of like hot ash in the air kind of deal.
Okay,
but
so
like,
if you're like evil and you die, you don't go there.
Well,
it's not like hell.
Well, it is.
Okay.
So we're kind of going all over the place, but let's talk a little bit about that. So, the way it works is so devils have an agenda. Their end game is to conquer everything and rule it with an iron fist. Okay. That is their end all be all. Each devil wants to be the top dog when that happens.
Of everything.
They all want to be Asmo.
Right.
And Asmo's been at it since the beginning. He's been top dog pretty much since the beginning because he's like a mastermind. And I kind of look forward to that episode because he's one of my favorite deities because he's fascinating and scary. And the way that they kind of work towards this end game though is they need to bolster their army.
Okay.
Now, the way they do that is all evil souls of mortal kind that aren't claimed by another divine source or like killed in like the abyss or something along those lines. Every unclaimed soul that is wicked automatically defaults to the 9 hells.
Your default death setting for evil people is the 9 hells.
And what happens is those souls get brought to the 9 hells and are tortured and mangled and then infused with hatred, whatever that means, to the point where they become a lemur. Now, a lemur is like a formless blob in humanoid form of wicked hatred, and these things are mindless, and they're not lawful evil. They're mindless, so they're pretty much chaotic evil.
Okay.
And
do they take orders? They take commands?
They will take commands from the devils above them because they are driven to do so, mostly by I think it's the chain devils that are really. We'll get to that later. But later on they can be promoted, and the way promotion works in the 9 hells.
Clock in 5 minutes early.
Clock in on time, follow orders to the T, and so greater devils can raise up lesser devils up a rank or two.
Nice.
Well, it's almost never two. It's always you got to follow the rules, so it's always one rank at a time.
Yep.
Prove yourself
at this level, then this level, then this level, etc.
Except for lemurs. Lemurs can't prove themselves. They're just raised at need.
Okay, so we need you now to be. We're low on these guys. So
exactly. Like we need some more imps. So like we're going to raise 100 of you.
Basically, just like right place, right time.
Yeah, that's exactly. And the thing is, lemurs are so mindless they have no recollection of their past lives.
Okay, so you're wiped clean. You're a new entity, pretty much.
Yes,
like you're the soul or whatever that got sent there, turned into blah blah blah.
Exactly. And I want to talk about that clean slate kind of deal at the end of the episode because there's some things I want to talk about. But here's another thing: when it comes to devils, that's different than demons. Demons don't get demoted. Demons, because
so if you stray from the path as a devil, you can get bumped down.
Exactly.
I don't like that shit. Get back in the slums.
Yeah. So and the way it works. So we talked about there was a hierarchy from like type 1 to 13, but there's another like grander hierarchy to it all. And basically, you have lemurs at the bottom. Then you have lesser devils, which is like types 1 through like 8 or something like that. Then you have greater devils, which is like the next 4 or 5, and then you have dukes, archdukes, and then Asmo.
Okay.
Yeah. So only greater devils can raise lesser devils. I don't think lesser devils can raise lemurs, but they might be able to. And only dukes and archdukes can raise greater devils or lesser devils to greater devils.
Okay.
And greater devils amidst the ranks. And only Asmodeus can raise someone to duke or archduke or however you want to pronounce it.
For sure. Yeah. Okay. And this is like a power you're imbued with because you're this level of devil.
Of devil, yeah, exactly.
Got to focus on that devil level.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see here. Oh yeah, kind of what I was trying to talk about. So they get all these mortal souls, but the thing is, it kind of you got to ask yourself, like, why is Asmo able to do this and no one does anything about it? And it's because in the lore there is a pact that Asmodeus has made with all the deities of good, called the Pact Primeval. Basically, the way the story goes is that the devils were created to fight the demons in the Blood War. They do so, but they constantly need new troops because they're not infinite like the demons are. So he formed the pact where Asmo is allowed to collect all these souls according to his rules in order to fight the good fight.
For sure.
And so the story is that he tricked them into getting way more souls than he needs.
So Asmo's like, I'll help you out.
Exactly.
Like, I need my boys.
Yeah, exactly. And now that's why outside of divine intervention, like once a soul is claimed, it can't be unclaimed, and like by default, Asmo owns all these souls.
Cool.
So yeah. And Asmodeus he rules supremely here. Like each Archduke rules their layer of the abyss and rules it with iron fist.
But if Asmo shows up, he's got like a procession and like he's there and now he's in charge.
Yeah, and they obey.
Right.
And that's the way it is. Even though all 8 of these other lords are constantly plotting against him, even like waging civil wars against him.
Oh,
like,
shit.
And he punishes those that do, but also like, for instance, I think it's
with demotion.
Well, no, actually there's one case, I can't remember the Archduke, but it was like his greatest rival, like plotted against him and raised a whole army, and Asmo defeated him and then transformed him to this hideous slug monster, but let him stay an Archduke.
Better luck next time, bitch.
Yeah, pretty much.
Have fun being a slug.
that's exactly how it is. And like I would say, this type of behavior is not only is expected to have like all this scheming, and it's a very political scheming type environment.
Interesting.
But it's almost encouraged, because if Asmodeus is taken out, he wasn't worthy.
Yeah, he's weak enough to fall.
Exactly.
Then whoever replaced him is rightful.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Although I think in the lore, it's very apparent that like Asmodeus is way more powerful than any of the archdukes. He's way smarter. He's way more cunning. He has way more worshippers. Like that's never ending anytime soon.
And he knows how to bitch slap people, like King Solomon.
Yeah.
He bitch slapped the hell out of King Solomon.
That's a whole different thing.
His name is Asmodeus, though.
Yeah. So here's the thing,
like from the Bible.
Even with all these mortal souls kind of coming to the Nine Hells by default, like it's still not enough, because devils are always looking for more, and devils are always looking for promotion. One of the great ways to get recognized is bringing more souls.
Oh,
so
I've gathered all these souls. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Give me my next level.
Yeah, exactly. So devils
devil level.
love to get summoned by humans into making contracts, because end all be all, the only currency that matters to these devils is your soul. That's what they want, and it's very dangerous to make a deal with them, because all devils are incredibly charismatic and intelligent by default. It's why tieflings get bonuses to charisma and intelligence.
Right, okay.
So even like a lowly imp, even though it's, not necessarily the most powerful creature, it's incredibly smart, incredibly cunning. It's very dangerous. And yeah, like there are types of pacts that they can make. One's called, I don't want to talk about them unless I can remember them correctly. I'm sick of saying wrong shit on the internet. But there's like there's like the Pact Malevolent and the Pact Direct or something like that. And one is basically like you're signing your soul away and you know it. And the Pact Malevolent is more along the lines of you're tricking the good being into slowly becoming more evil and giving away more and more of their soul until finally you get them.
Got it.
So one is like a direct contract, one's like a series of contracts, and like both of these types of contracts, all demons are very well versed in.
Got it.
And I've always liked this kind of portrayal of demons as being very versed in legality.
Yeah, okay. Like,
you know,
like the little loopholes in the fine print
they're
and
all
whatnot.
about that. Yeah. And so when they get tricked in their own contracts, on one hand, they're furious about it, but like they will adhere because law means so much to them.
Son of a bitch. Okay, though.
Yeah. It's like, well, it's kind of like Tenacious D, the movie.
Yeah, okay.
Where they're like, we challenge you to a rock off. He's like, fuck. He's like, all right, I got to do this. Let's do it. So yeah, I love that movie. I don't care what anyone says. That's a great movie.
Well, I'll tell you right now, it's okay.
I love that movie. It's a great movie.
I do like Jack Black and Kyle Gass.
Yeah, and David Grohl plays the devil in that one.
Yeah, it was pretty funny actually.
Yeah. So where were we? Lawfulness and devil kind. So because they're not like born of lawful evil, and even though it is kind of baked into their blood, but at the same time it isn't, because they're always kind of gnashing against it. They don't want to adhere to these rules. Like I've seen a couple different like lore bits to explain stuff. One is that the reason that devils are so lawful isn't because they like it or they think it's right. It's because they see that logically being this way benefits them individually as people. Because as long as there's a system to game, they can play that game.
Yeah.
And they can get to
they
the
can
top.
just snake their way through the rules.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, there's that. And I like that explanation. I think that explanation is good enough. Another lazy one is I also like the idea that it really is baked into their bones to the point of like they can't be another way.
It's just like the rules of this plane. Like this is how things are here because physics works differently and mental game works differently here or whatever.
Right. Exactly.
Like how it is in the abyss where everything's like of a chaotic nature. This is the other side of the coin like you were talking about. This is the lawful side of this evil.
Yeah. There are other ways that devils come into being. The main way I can think of is fallen angels.
I was going to ask about that.
They can become greater devils if they fall to lawful evil. They could become succubi, which in this game are neutral evil, but they can fight for either demons or devils. They used to be devils, and I kind of like in my world they're still devils to me.
Okay.
So angels can become succubi, or they can become what are called Aranes or Aranies, or it's spelled very funny. It's a Greek word. Although they're nothing like their Greek counterparts. They're basically like angels of warfare.
Ooh, okay.
Fallen
like
angels,
armored, bladed.
Yeah. They're very beautiful and statuesque, but they're all about killing.
Cool.
And they're captains of war. Fun fact: only devils can also come about through sexual reproduction, but only greater devils can sexually reproduce with other devils. Although all devils can sexually reproduce with mortals, thus you get tieflings can sometimes be like fiendish blood in the bloodline.
Okay.
Although in other times it's like a curse put on a specific bloodline.
Yeah.
But there are beings called Cambrions, which are literally half mortal, half devil. Most often born from succubi. Okay.
And are they like playable or
no? They're not. They're evil.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
They're evil and very powerful.
So that's like a creature. Like
that's a monster.
Like a monster.
That you fight a Cambrion. Yeah. There is another way. Asmodeus is said to be so powerful that. So here, okay. Sorry, let's back it up a little bit. Asmodeus, at some point, the lawful gods realized how badly they've been being tricked for this very long amount of time. He tricked them with the Pact of Primeval. He tricked them with a bunch of other stuff we haven't even talked about.
They all got together and they had a conversation behind his back and were like,
this Asmo guy's kind of a dick.
You know, he did do that thing to me one time. I was like, he did that thing to me one time.
Oh shit!
Fuck.
So they cast him from the heavens and into the nine hells, and his impact left a wound that to this day is still bleeding.
Oh shit!
And it said that every drop of blood that falls upon the ground rises into a pit fiend, which is the most powerful. Right.
I remember you saying that in another episode.
So that's another way that demons or devils are being born.
Just Asmo blood.
Just Asmo blood dripping upon the ground.
Damn! And that fool that tried to overturn him, that like you couldn't beat this wounded ass man.
Yeah, there it is.
Hot dang.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into some specific devils after this, but I think it's time to take a short rest.
You're right. Hey everybody, welcome to the part of the episode where we stopped talking about that last thing. It was scary. We're going to talk about something else, and it's you guys. Hey guys. Hey guys. Thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for making it to this part of the show. Thanks for liking and subscribing to the show. thanks for being involved with the show, talking about the show. Thanks.
Yes, thank you very much. And for those of you still wondering, yes, we're still running that awesome contest.
We
are giving away 2 of the up-and-coming Dungeons & Dragons book, Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Which is the equivalent of the Player's Handbook 2. I swear to God, if you're going to keep repeating after me. So, yes, we're giving away this awesome book. It's going to have all these new options for every class in the game, possibly some racial stuff. It's basically a book piecing together all the unearthed arcana stuff that they are going to make
legal, playable.
Official. There's the word I'm looking for. Official. And so it's almost a must buy. And my phone just took a photo of me for some reason.
You probably did one of those hand gestures.
Yeah, let me try that again. Oh, that didn't work. All right, back to the bump. But yeah, so if you want to enter this contest, all you have to do is tweet a link to our show. Now, this can be any specific episode. It could be pretty much on any platform. I don't care. It could be iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, whatever it is. It's just sharing the show in general and then adding the hashtag Dungeoncast. I will constantly on the lookout for that hashtag. I will see your name. I will add you to the list. And on the day of release, we'll be pulling 2 names from the list and giving out 2 books.
And one of them will be my alias Twitter account.
Yeah.
Yes, because this book is a must-have. You're going to want to tweet about the show so you can get your own copy. Definitely win it so you don't have to buy it because you're probably going to want it. Anyway, you can find us on soundcloud.com/thedungeoncast, on iTunes or YouTube, like Will was mentioning. Please leave likes and subscribes and ratings. It really helps the show get some attention, helps get the word out there. And if you just want to tell somebody that you think would like the show or likes D&D about the show, that'd be really awesome. I feel like we're a good supplement to if you're thinking about doing something. I want to run a monk. We got a monk episode. I would highly recommend you listen to it and read what there is on the Player's Handbook while you listen along, maybe. That's what I do. It really helps me be a better player, a better DM. So yeah, let people know that we exist out there. We really appreciate that. And thanks to everybody again who's been following and commenting and listening, and we really appreciate it. Can't say enough.
All right, you ready?
Yeah. Let's get back to the show.
All right, Brian. So before the rest, I said we were going to dive into some specific devils, and we are, but there was a few things that I felt I didn't touch on enough, and so we're going to talk about those first.
Cool.
First off, cultists.
Yes. They like devils.
They do. I would argue that most cultists in the world of D&D are probably devil worshippers more than any of the other like demon worshippers.
Well, I would say, like, based off of what I've heard, it's the easiest to summon a devil because they're you can contractually obligate them to do the thing.
I would say it probably is easiest because devils like to be summoned for those purposes.
They get a benefit out of it.
They don't like having to like follow the call of a mortal or like do what a mortal says. They hate that part.
I can see this as being an opportunity, though.
It's it's an opportunity for promotion. Let's make this happen. So yeah, and because of that, I would say that's why these cults are most prolific, because they're giving devils access to mortals, and also I think devils are going to go out of their way to make it so that like ritual summons for summoning imps and whatnot are easily found throughout the world.
I see.
Like, because wouldn't you, if you were trying to get access to these people?
Forbidden
like
section
mass marketing.
Forbidden section in a magic library, etc.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, if I was Asmo, like I would be trying to get my cult to be putting these rituals in every library in all the land, somewhere hidden. Like, make it happen.
Yeah,
but anyways,
get these people to stumble across my books.
Yeah,
and bring my boys up to the surface.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a big reason why they're so prolific compared to other cultists. But also, like, devils are very direct in what they are providing. It's not like demons where they're pretending to give you like some taste of power, but they're actually corrupting you.
Right.
Devils are corrupting you, and it's a big part of what they want you to do wicked things. But they are paying you up front with like give you access to gold and riches and like whatever your baser desires are. Like they are really like they want to give you that stuff because it's going to make you bad
or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And I would even say like some cultists are all in on it. Like they know exactly where they're going when they die, and they're almost like they're trying to play the game to get like I don't know, like a rank up. Like, I don't want to come in as a lemur. I want to come in as a bearded devil. Like, start me off like 3 ranks up, please.
Exactly.
Yeah, some of them are super on board.
I already know I'm going to hell. Let's do it right.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I play my Hell Knight Paladin, D'Artagnan. Like, basically, the premise I have for him is that, like, if he follows the oaths and does what he's supposed to do, he'll come in at, like, I don't know, Bone Devil status, but he'll also have the benefit of not having to change forms. Like, he'll just be himself, but raised in power.
Oh, cool. Like, you keep your body like in Dragon Ball when you die and
yes,
you did the good thing.
Yeah,
cool.
exactly.
That's really cool.
That's my idea.
And you're like a tiefling. You're already like kind of
exactly.
You got the look already going.
I fit in. So we'll talk about that more outside the show.
Yeah.
But okay, let's talk a little bit about the Blood War, which is a feud between the demons and devils, because I've talked to you about like this main storyline where like these devils were created by the lawful gods and whatnot, and that's cool and all.
To fight the demons. Kind of keep each other in check.
Exactly. I'm not the biggest fan of that. Like, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a cool bit of lore, but I like the lore. There's 2 other origins to the Blood War, and I like both of them. One is just the general Asmodeus and his archdukes see the greatest threat to their ruling over the universe as the demons.
Nice.
These infinite, chaotic, evil beings of destruction, which will destroy the order. So, like, they want to obliterate those first before they move on. And that makes sense because, like, chaos will destroy their order, and they love order. So, there's that. The other thing, and this is 4th edition lore, and I really like this, is we talked in the demon episode about the shard of evil that may have created the abyss.
Yes. And like bleeds out and like keeps producing more levels of the abyss.
There is a theory that, or not a theory, there is a bit of lore that perhaps the Blood War started because Asmo delved into the abyss when he heard about the evil shard. He fetched it, infused it into his Ruby Rod staff, and that's why he's so powerful. And now, because he holds it, the demons are constantly trying to get it. So they're waging war on the devils to get to it.
Cool. So their hands are full with each other.
Exactly. Generally speaking, that is true in most lore, but they're later on in, I think it's a Forgotten Realms, but also I think it might be in 4th edition lore too, where once Asmodeus is a god, but he has not always been one. And when he attained godhood, greater godhood, the first thing he did was he lifted the entire abyss and threw it into the pit of the elemental chaos and plunged it to the bottom of it just to stop the Blood War.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So he like it effectively got rid of it.
Yeah, he ended the war, but the abyss is still there doing its thing. But
it's
now it's someone else's problem. Now it's the elemental chaos's problem.
Oh, well fuck. They got what it takes.
Probably not. But
yeah.
Moving on. The last thing I want to talk about before we get into specific devils is one of the things that I like about devils is that, like, remember, most of these devils were at some point something not evil.
Okay.
They were either an angel or a human or an elf or something along those lines. And unlike demons, which are incapable of feeling anything that's like remotely like sympathy or empathy or anything like that, devils kind of can. It's really difficult for them, and it's exceptionally rare because they really are evil, wicked, twisted creatures. But like,
got to be something major going on.
Yeah, exactly. I would only reserve this for like very exceptional cases, but there are D&D stories out there where like devils kind of fell back to the light in a way and shed their devil form through divine intervention because they decided to forsake everything about
another change of heart, basically.
Yeah,
like
basically
I've become a devil, and then
Yeah.
a millennia went by, and then I became an angel again. Or
and that's a 1 in a billion. But like, I still like that that's a thing. Like, it makes devils more like a character and less like demons aren't really characters. They're just like war machines. Like a devil is
exactly.
I don't know if they're a person, but they're a lot closer than a demon. And so like,
because it can have this change of
master,
heart.
I find that more interesting to work with. But that's just me. So let's move on. Specific devils. We kind of already talked about lemurs. They're the weakest of the devils. Lump of man-sized blob. Mortal souls, tortured, infused with hatred. No memories of their past life. Relatively mindless. They love killing.
Sweet.
All right, moving on. The next one up is imps. They're the lowest of the lesser devils. They look probably exactly like what you're picturing in your head. They're like red-skinned, red-winged, small, like maybe the size of like a large cat with big wings.
Like evil Cupid.
Like evil Cupid. I like that. Yeah. They got a scorpion tail, which
no diaper.
is very poisonous. No diaper. No diaper necessary.
They just shit on the floor.
They're kind of the equivalent of a Quasit because they're used as spies like Quasits are.
Okay.
They can transform into animals like Quasits do. They're relatively
sneaky, small, can fly around.
Yeah, they look less gross than Quasits do, but that's just the general rule for devils versus demons.
Yeah,
there are
demons
some
weird.
exceptions, which we'll get to. They're the most commonly we kind of talked about this. So they're the most commonly summoned by mortals, and they generally relish in it because it's a promotion
Opportunities.
chance. Yeah, exactly. And we talked about, despite they're small and weak, they're clever, charismatic, and very vicious and very dangerous. Next up, spine devils. They're one step higher than imps, and they're basically like big spiced up imps. They're like they serve the same purpose as imps, where they're like spies and scouts and whatnot, and they have wings. They look like imps, but they're slightly bigger with bigger wings, and they're covered in these quills and spines.
Ooh.
Which this is where they get their extra bonus stuff is these spines can then eject from their body and explode.
Okay.
So they're used as artillery
so
in warfare.
You're an imp with range attacks.
Exactly. That's pretty much exactly it, and they lose the tail. But yeah, so they're spy, scouts, and also artillery.
Got it.
Next up are the bearded devils. Now these look kind of tiefling-ish, but they got these big beards that are like snakes almost. They're not actual snakes, but they look almost like snakes.
Ew.
And they
Like
got
Davy Jones
purple,
style tentacles coming off the face.
Kind of like that, but they're kind of barbed at the end.
Oh, okay.
And they serve as like the shock troops of devil armies. These are going to be some of the most numerous when it comes to the devil armies. And they're just vicious bastards. I mean, most of these they're incredibly aggressive. They are violent loving, and they're always looking for promotion. That's just the general rule when it comes to these things.
For sure.
When it comes to devils.
Okay.
Oh yeah, their beards are dripping with disease.
Oh, just some like essence of disease.
Yeah. So I guess their barbs, if they hit you, can probably
Give you
infect
polio.
There you go. Also, these ones are most like the barbarian class. These ones fly into rages and like work themselves up into frenzies for wars.
For sure.
Next up are chain devils, which I find very interesting. They look like humanoids, but it's almost impossible to see what they look like because they are shrouded in chains that are like wrap their bodies, and they use these chains like whips.
What the fuck?
These are the jailers and torturers of the Nine Hells. They drive lesser devils forward into battle with their chain whips, and these ones are in charge of torturing the lemurs.
They sound scarier than they look.
Yeah, they jail those souls and they torture them until they become lemurs.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Next up, bone devils. Now these are the top dogs of the lesser demons, and they are probably the most grotesque looking of all devils. They look like demons, almost like. They're large, insect-like skeletal monsters
Okay.
with like a big scorpion tail and giant like insect wings.
So like the exoskeleton of like an insect would have.
Kind of, except for like their head is almost like a devilish-looking humanoid skull.
Oh, like Cubone?
Yeah, no.
They're like wearing a skull?
No, their head is a skull.
Oh, wait,
like,
okay.
It's just, yeah. You'd have to look at the image. I would say
check it
go
out
look up
for
Bone
sure.
Devil. They're scary looking. And they serve as masters of the lesser devils. They delight in demoting.
Okay.
They really are. They power trip and they long for promotion because they're one step from being greater devils.
Yeah,
so
they're looking for people to fuck up.
Constantly. They're some of the most ambitious, probably the most ambitious of all lesser devils because they're just so close.
So they're kind of like, because of their nature, they're like naturally cleaning up like keeping everybody in that lawful evil.
Yeah, I would say
kind of
so.
way.
Yeah, they're definitely the enforcers of the lesser devils
For sure.
and they're leading like squads forward in like war scenarios as well. That's the thing is devils is all very military because that's what they do. It's all they do.
Yeah.
They wage war. They gather more souls for the war. Everything's about the war. So it's just what they do. So we're going to move on to greater devils. I think we skipped barb devils, but that's because they're ugly and I don't care about them. So
For sure.
we're going to move on after I
Sucks for you, barb devil.
Yeah, fuck you, barb devil. You suck. Next up, horn devils. So these are the lowest of the greater devils, but they're known. These devils kind of have a duality to them. Is that the right word?
Duality?
Duality. There we go.
Yeah.
That's the right word. They
I
have a
got you.
duality to them. Thank you, sir. So on one hand, they're known as war devils. They are the majority of the hellish infantry. They have tough skin. They're incredibly powerful, and they're a very classic looking devil.
Okay.
Like they kind of just have like the goat horns and like kind of scaly-ish, leathery skin. They're humanoid. They're generally large, and they have giant bat wings. And I think they have cloven hooves for feet. Like,
They got
very
that-
classic.
They got
Satan-looking
that
things.
that tail,
Yeah,
that
they got
whippy
the
tail with
tail.
that little like double spike on the end.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
You'll see them wielding pitchforks.
yeah,
you
there
go.
it is.
The duality part comes from, on one hand, they are all these things. They're like the infantry, the war. They follow their orders to a T, but they're also known as being very belligerent about the whole situation and incredibly lazy. They do it very, like, they're very upset about having to do it, but they do it.
What? They're like
They do the minimum, but they do what they're ordered to do to the T, if that makes any sense.
for sure, but you got to tell
But
them.
no more.
Tell them
No more than
exactly
that.
what to do, and they'll do that. But they're not
Exactly.
going to go the extra mile.
Exactly.
So
They'll-
maybe the one that somehow goes the extra mile is up for promotion. You think?
I find these devils confusing because they're belligerent and lazy, and they're the most unambitious.
And the level right before them
Is
is
super
like
ambitious,
yeah.
yeah. But at the same time, remember that these devils are individuals. Even though they change forms, like they're still the same person.
They
with
have
all
like
the
a
same memories.
personality.
Yeah, that kind of
Okay.
comes out on top of this. This is just generally speaking. One of the things about these guys is that they are incredibly lazy and they'll do the bare minimum. But if you make them angry, now you have a serious fucking problem on your hands because they are incredibly powerful.
Nice. Okay.
So, moving on. The next thing above them, now we're getting into devils that are so powerful, they're like very few.
So obviously, like when you jump a tier or a type,
Yeah.
there's fewer.
Yeah,
So,
I would say
okay.
horned devils are the most common of greater devils. I would even argue they're some of the most common devils, period, because they make up the bulk of the forces of the devils. But next up is the Aranesses or Arane or the Araness, whatever you want to call them. But they're the beautiful, statuesque, angel-winged devils of war, and they serve as captains and mighty warriors in this war.
Nice.
They often look the way they do because they're fallen angels, and I don't think they're part of the normal hierarchy. Although the 5th edition monster manual doesn't say that. It's just from the lore I know they're kind of supposed to be outside the hierarchy, but they're still listed. This is the spot where they are, so they fall in number 9 spot.
So if they're not in the hierarchy, they have their own agenda.
Well, no, they're part of the hierarchy. It's just like you don't get raised up to Araness, and Araness don't get raised up from Araness.
I see. You
It's
are
just,
what you are. You've come in. You've come in. And you are this thing, which is
so
cool, I guess. You never had to
in
deal with
my
being a blob.
world, in my world, Araness is just another tier because like there are some implications to like the Araness. Like, okay, remember I said that only greater devils can mate with other greater devils,
Yeah.
and the only greater devils that can carry children are Araness and Succubi, and so they're almost treated as like a big reason they're not promoted is because they need
We need a
beings.
set amount of these to continue the.
And then I've seen lore written where they kind of flip that, where it's like they refuse to be promoted because they consider being able to carry the children like this
And it's
power,
honor. Yeah.
not honor, but like they consider themselves superior because it's something that no other devils can do.
Okay.
Oh, that's just kind of weird to me. So I'm just like, they're just on the fucking list. But that's just
For
me.
sure. Okay.
Next up, ice devils. Now these things literally
That's,
look. Go ahead.
well, it just like doesn't add up to me. An ice devil, because like it's like
they're-
I'm always thinking of fire. Everything's red.
Well, they're from a specific layer that is all ice.
Oh shit. Okay.
And just their deal. They
Welcome
look,
to cold hell.
Yeah, welcome to cold hell. They look like giant praying mantises that are blue.
Fuck. Okay.
And I do mean giant. They're huge. They're
Oh,
probably
shit.
like, I don't know. 50
Oh, I've seen
feet
them in
tall.
the monster manual. Yeah.
Now
They're
I've
that
seen
thing from Star Wars Episode 2 that fights Obi-Wan.
Yeah, kind of like that, I suppose. Except for like they do stand upright and like wield weapons.
Yeah.
They're highly intelligent strategists. They serve as military commanders over incredibly large forces.
That sounds like the what's that snake-looking demon with all the swords, the 6 swords?
Yeah.
Sound like that.
I would say that a Merilith is probably on the
Merilith.
same level as an ice devil. Now I've seen lore where ice devils aren't originally devils, but they're actually demons that came over to the lawful evil side of things for whatever reason. And that kind of makes sense because ice devils don't look like anything like the other devils. Like every other devil looks like kind of falls within a fiendish looking category.
Okay.
Because like even the Araness looks kind of like a succubus, so like even that's kind of devilish looking. But the ice devil looks like a giant insect monster. So
Okay.
like it kind of makes sense that like I could see that, but it's not mentioned in the 5th edition monster manual, so I don't know if that's the current lore. But either way, they relentlessly pursue promotion because the thing that's above them is kind of the end all be all for most devils. It's the last thing before Archdukedom.
Okay.
That's the Pit Fiends, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, so Ice Devils, they're scary. Let's move on to Pit Fiends.
Let's get out of cold hell.
Let's get out of cold hell and let's get to the big dogs. Now,
All right.
these are the Balors of the situation. If you remember what Balors are from the Demon episode, the big Balrog looking thing.
Oh, yeah.
Pit Fiends are the same size.
Yes.
They look very similar. They're giant devil monstrosities with like molten skin and like big old
muscles.
wings, huge muscles, incredibly powerful. They double as generals of hell, leading entire armies.
For sure.
They answer only to their Archduke and or Asmodeus, depending on who they're talking to.
Who's in the room?
Yeah, who's in the room. Yeah, exactly. And they form a kind of elite aristocracy amongst devils. So they have their own politico going on outside of the normal.
Like with the other generals.
Yeah, they're constantly maneuvering against each other because they want the promotion. Yeah. 'Cause
all right.
The thing they want the most is for their dude above them to fuck up hard, so one of them gets raised up. So yeah, it's a crazy political atmosphere.
Constantly setting up fucking obstacles
yeah.
for the dude above me.
Yeah, and Pit Fiends are so damn powerful that there's even been a Pit Fiend that served as an archdevil for an amount of time until he was eventually deposed. So my take on that is that when he got raised up to archdevil status, he just gained the power but kept the form or whatever for whatever reason. We'll get into the archdevil's lore when we do like episodes on gods and stuff like that.
Okay.
But to talk generally about the archdevils is they're all 100% unique creatures that were raised up to that station by Asmodeus himself. They have a completely unique subset of powers.
Cool. Really
they
cool.
are on the level of like demigods.
Nice.
So much so that Tiamat, who is a lesser god, even served as an archdevil for a
shit.
limited amount of time. And I have a lot to say about that, but we'll talk about that in the Tiamat episode. And of course, each one rules over its own layer, so there's only ever 9 of them. And the 9th layer of Nessus is ruled over by Asmodeus, who also rules over everything just because he's the supreme lord of the 9 hells.
So really there's like 8 other ones besides Asmo.
Yeah. That
so
directly, they only report to Asmodeus, and that's
now,
it.
if they fuck up or whatever,
He can demote them.
yeah,
at any
and
point
then
in time.
he brings up another one and they take on that same subset of powers.
Yeah, and no, always become something unique. I don't think there's rhyme or reason to that.
So each one that has ever been is unique.
Yes,
You're
exactly.
not like taking up the mantle
Yeah.
of like I'm the ice levels
And-
fucking ice. I shoot ice or
Yeah,
whatever.
no, I think
okay.
it's a slug monster that's actually in charge of that one.
Well, you get what I'm saying though.
Yeah,
Like,
I get what you're saying. Yeah, they don't necessarily have to match their layer. Like there's been a night hag who served as archdevil.
Okay, yeah.
And the thing is, you can also be deposed without being demoted, so you maintain the same power level, but you've been cast out or whatever. And that happens, like Tiamat. Like
You're just not welcome in the realm anymore.
yeah, exactly. What else was I gonna say? I don't know. I felt like I was gonna say something there about archdevils, and I seem to have lost the thought. So,
I see.
do you have any more questions about these archdevils?
They seem cool. Like, is there anything like notable they can do, like as far as their powers?
I remember what I was gonna say now. Yes, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head when it comes to that. But like, they kind of get deposed and moved around a lot. Like Asmodeus, like demoted some archdevil, I forget for what reason, and then raised up his daughter, and now she rules like the 6th or 7th layer of hell.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
it's really
I don't even know if she's still in charge of that one. Like it changes from
Yeah,
edition
it's
to
really
edition.
kinda random.
Yeah, exactly. And it just depends on like your lore as a dungeon master.
Right.
So yeah. Unless you have any questions, I think we've wrapped up our general overlook of devils. So again, our first pass on
Welcome
the
to
subject.
the first pass.
And we will be getting into specific devil lore, and there's a lot more types of devils than what we've covered here. And we'll be getting into the archdevils, and we'll have an episode on the 9 hells and how that's structured, and episode on Asmodeus. And
Think
so
of
on
it
and
as
so
its
forth.
own category of Dungeoncast episodes: devils, demons, etc.
Exactly.
All right. Cool. No,
All
I
right.
don't really have too many questions because I'm sure we'll get to it.
Yeah, we will. We will. We absolutely will. All right. Well, if that's the case, let's call it a game.
Calling it a game.
All
Bye.
right. Everyone have a good one.
The Dungeoncast.
Dungeoncast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dungeoncast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Will.
This is the okay. One more again. Hey everybody, welcome to the
Dungeoncast.
I'm Brian.
Give me a moment.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say it normal.